the GRE test, and within a few weeks after things were shut down around the world, the GRE became available at home. So what I want to tell you about that is everything I say about the GRE is 100% applicable in the at-home version. The difference is when you go to a computer or one of the testing sites, you'll sit down at a computer and do it there in a little cubicle or some setup like that. The difference is here, we're taking it home, and I say here because I have actually taken, I actually took the TOEFL test for the experience, but I took it right here sitting in this very chair on my computer that I'm looking at right now. I will tell you, they will have you clear your desk completely. You don't want to see my desk right now. I would not pass, but they're going to have you take your camera and show everything on your desk, show all the doors, show everything to make sure that you are in a testing environment by yourself. And then you're going to have someone monitoring you via cam, just like you're looking at me. While you're taking the test, there's AI involved, there's a human person involved watching you or whoever's taking the test. So just be aware. Everything's identical. They're going to zoom that test in right there to your computer. Identical in content. The experience will be the same there. The test fee is the same. The scores are the same. If you are someone who qualify for any modifications such as extra time or magnification, things like that, that's something I'm not going to get too deep into here. You'll know if that's you, but all those are available at home as well. And yeah, you're monitored and recorded while you're taking it. So let me just throw out there right now, don't be tempted to get an unfair advantage. Certainly throughout the world, there are individuals who love to do what they can to maybe get an advantage on the GRE test. You will be caught. You will be caught. And the worst thing that could happen, we review these videos, we review the things happening background on your computer. It may not be right there when you take it that you're caught, but we will. Our security people are quite good. And the last thing that you want is us to have to send a letter to the school where you're applying and say, hey, Jay was going for some unfair advantages here and we're canceling his score. That would not be good for anyone. So please take that seriously. All right, more about the test here. I did mention there are some changes coming up. This is if you are taking the test between now and September 21st of this year. There are currently, there's 3 sections. You're going to have 2 writing tasks, 2 essays, and you get 30 minutes for each of those. There's a verbal section, and in that you're going to have 2 sections, and I'm going to show you a bit how those work in just a moment, but you're going to have a small little break in between the 2 sections. 20 questions in each of those sections. 30 minutes per section. This is the verbal section, so you can imagine a reading passage, maybe some sentence completion, things like that. And I'm going to get into a little bit more of that in just a moment. And you're going to have the quantitative reasoning, the math section of the test, which also identical to the verbal. Verbal and quant are very similar. 2 sections, 20 questions per section, and you're going to get 35 minutes for each of those sections. So that's 70 minutes total, a little bit more than the verbal because you're actually solving some problems here and give you a little bit of extra time there to complete that because you're solving the problems. It takes so longer. It says here that either an unscored section or research section will be given to you. That is, again, up through September 21st. After that, that's going to change. Basically, you're going to get 1 section in there. We don't tell you which section it is, but you're going to get a section where we actually are testing questions and see if there are differences in different populations. That's one of the ways that we have kept the GRE a fair and valid test to see if there is some question that, maybe one group of people have an advantage because they have more knowledge or something that, but we want excuse me, we want to make sure that those test questions are fair and valid statistically, and that's why we have had that research and unscored section in the past. That will be going away, though. Currently, the GRE is 3 hours and 45 minutes. So I told you there's some updates coming, so I wanted to put here. If you want to take a screenshot of this, that is fine. You will find some of this on our website as well. Um, excuse me. But these are the basics. So this is right here. This is the current GRE, what's on it. I mentioned the analytical writing, 2 essays, each 30 minutes, quantitative reasoning, 2 sections, each 30 minutes, adding coming 60, excuse me, and the verbal. Actually, that is backwards. Sorry about that. Let's switch that out. That's 60 and 70. 70 is actually for the quant. Over here, this is, notice the number of questions coming on September 22nd. It's going from 40 questions to 27 questions. Quite a bit less. That being the quant section is going to be the longer one, so you're going to have 47 minutes. The verbal reasoning, it's going to also 27 questions and 41 minutes. So significantly shorter. There will be no unscored section here, so that is gone, and there's not this scheduled break that we used to have for 10 minutes in there. So notice that's going from almost 4 hours to 1 hour and 58 minutes. Significant change, almost half the length there. Now, everything else that I tell you about the GRE today is exactly true for the GRE in the future. So know that that's going to apply. It's just going to be these timings and this number of questions. All right, so let's take a little bit closer look at analytical writing. First of all, let's mention, why is analytical writing even important? You are going to write in business school. It is not all finance and accounting. You're going to be doing business cases. You're going to be reading and writing a great deal for different classes, expressing your opinions. You're perhaps writing out your strategies, working on teams and individually. But writing is something that's still a big part of a business program. And we all know that in today, with the AI and other tools that are out there, this is the opportunity for you to show to ISB that you can write. This is a monitored opportunity for you to write the essays that you may submit. Even when I was applying for my MBA, I'll just say a while back, 2 decades ago, I still had my friends and some family review my essay. So it wasn't 100% your work. This is 100% your ability to write. And so take it seriously. Currently, there is analyze an issue and analyze an argument. Come September, there's only going to be one of those. I believe it's analyze an argument. But you'll have all of that as you are signing up for it if you're looking for that time frame. You are going to type your essays. All the things that you would have in something like Microsoft Word or any other word processor is going to be there. Not spell check though. We do actually watch for that. So what are we scoring on in this one? Can you write in an organized fashion? Do you use the correct grammar? Do you use the correct spelling, vocabulary? But that it follows a train of thought. I always throw out there, again, I used to teach high school. I taught Spanish, but we had to write. My students had to write in that. I always say, take at least a minute or two and make a very brief outline. That outline will help guide you through the rest of the writing to make sure that you are going in an order and not answering the question like this. Because if you answer the question all over the place, that is going to affect your overall score. You need to make sure that it's making sense here. Now, one exciting thing here, most people don't know, a little insider information. Did you know that every essay prompt that you could possibly get is on the ETS website? Most people don't know that. I, as an admissions director for many years, did not know that until I started working at ETS. Big discovery. You can Google it. You can wander around our website, but they are there. Take that opportunity. There's like 300 options. You're not going to memorize all of them, but you'll get a good feel of what those essays are going to be like. Maybe outline a few as practice, whatever, but they are all there. Don't skip out on that opportunity. Most folks don't know about that. Let's look at the verbal reasoning section. Let's talk about what's on it. I want to say, first of all, there is some information out there, misinformation. In fact, I was watching a presentation just yesterday where someone was talking about the GRE, not associated with ETS, and they were mentioning analogies being on the GRE. That hasn't been the case for over a decade at this point. This is what's on the GRE. Not analogies and things like that. You do still need to know your vocabulary. That is very important. But this is it. This is the definitive answer. I'm going to start from down here. Sentence equivalence. You get two sentences. You're going to compare them. Are they the same? What's different? Et cetera, et cetera. Take the time to find some of these examples online. We have some on our website. You can just Google it. You're going to find examples of what that really looks like. Text completion. You're going to get something. It'll either be a sentence or maybe a paragraph, and it's going to look like this, and it's going to have little blanks in it. Maybe here, and then we'll put one here. And then you're going to get a list of vocabulary words here, and you are literally going to take the word and drag it to where it goes in the sentence or the paragraph there. That you're going to have to know. That's one of the places we're testing your vocabulary for sure, making sure that you're able to put those in the right places where they do make sense. Reading comprehension. This is where you're going to get a brief essay or writing or something. By the way, these all come from the real world. They may have been in a newspaper or article or something like that. These are not written by us. We take those, put them in there, and they're going to ask things like, what's the main idea? Which of these ideas support the main idea? Things like that. There's three ways these questions could be asked. Multiple choice. This is your old-fashioned. You got one answer only. Which of the four options below is the main idea of the paragraph that you've just read, a selection you just read? There is also multiple choice, select one or more answer. An example of that would be, okay, you know the main idea of the paragraph. In the four options below, mark any that support the main idea and are in the selection. And it could be just A, it could be A and B, it could be A and C, it could be B and C, B and you get the idea. It could be one answer, it could be all four of them are correct. And to get the question right, you got to get all of them. So do know that is a type of question that is going to be there. You will know. We will tell you if it's a one answer question or potentially more than one answer question. Finally, select and passage, pretty direct there. You're going to get a little highlighter, and here's my little paragraph over here on the side. It says, I'm going to just use main idea again. Highlight the sentence that gives the main idea of the paragraph. You're going to come in here and you're going to actually select that. So that's how that section works. On to the quantitative section. Notice this big, beautiful thing right here, a calculator. Yes, you will get to use the calculator on the GRE test in the quant section. That may not be true of other tests that you are considering taking, so do know it's there. I remember being in when I was in high school and elementary school, my teacher saying, "Oh yeah, you're not going to have a calculator everywhere when you grow up. You're going to, that's just not going to be, that's not how it is. You don't carry around a calculator with you." Well, I prove them wrong as I have my calculator right here. I have a calculator right here. My iPad's over here. There's another one, and my computer right here. So I have 4 calculators within my reach, and 2 of them are with me all the time. So ETS decided, let's use that calculator. That's not what we're testing. We're testing your ability to figure out a problem with the tools that you typically have. So there we go, right there. I'm going to start down here at the bottom of this. These are the subjects that are on the GRE. Notice there is no trigonometry, no sine, cosine, tangent, none of that's going to be there. Also notice there is no calculus. It is not we don't go to that level of the mathematics. These are things that most of us studied at the very beginning of college or usually in high school. Here in the United States, when we say algebra, usually that's 2 years of algebra in high school or 1 year in college. So it's not getting into some of those more complicated calculus, trig, etc. You do need to know your geometry, data analysis. That is going to be more um, uh, more looking at data and figuring out what it means. It is not the predictive statistics. We're not looking for you to do regressions, things like that. Again, take the time to go look at some practice material and get that. Types of questions you're going to see. Quantitative comparison. To me, this is probably the most challenging type of question on the test. Um, and you're going to have a greater than, equal, etc. sort of thing, and two different expressions. So let's say I make this real simple: 2 equals 1 times 2. Yes, that's correct. But you may get an algebraic expression on this side and an algebraic expression on this side, and the answers that you're going to choose from is they are equal. I need a bit more information, those sorts of things. So it's not a just simple math. You're going to have to determine, ooh, do I even have enough information to figure this problem out? Because that is actually one of the answers that you can select, is that you don't have the information you need. Again, you've got multiple choice with one answer, multiple choice with multiple answers, and numeric entry literally means if the answer is 237, you're going to go to your keyboard, type 237 in the blank, and there it is. All right. 3 scores are reported in the following scales. I know that some other tests round it up and make one big number. You'll even see out there some schools will say, hey, we're looking for a score of 300 or whatever. That's adding these 2 sections here. Officially, your GRE is just going to be reported with 3 scores. Your analytical writing is 0 to 6 and a scale of 0.5. So 5.5, 4.5 are all potential scores. 6 means you're a great writer. You did everything we asked for. You've used great vocabulary, organization, everything makes sense. Once you get down below 3.53, things get a little bit shakier down there, and you do want to show that you can write well. So do take that seriously. In the verbal reasoning and quantitative reasoning, it's 130 to 170. Notice that the midpoint of that is 150. So if you got half the questions right, you're going to get about a 150. When we talk percentiles, because there are so many folks that are coming from STEM backgrounds, engineers, computer science, things like that. We're using a lot of math on a frequent basis. You find the average score is actually a little bit higher up here, like at 155, 156. So there you go. Just know that that is both how quantitative and verbal is scored, a 150 to 170. This looks complicated, but this is here to help you understand how the test is organized. I know some of you may be looking at the GMAT as your option. It is going to be what is called question level adaptive, which means every question counts. I'm going to talk about that more, but let me show you. This is how the GRE works. You come in, here you are feeling all energetic and great, and there's my great artistic ability there, and you're happy. You sit down in your chair, you jump in, and you start taking section 1. Remember, there's 2 sections, both in verbal and quant. Currently there's 20 questions, 40 total. And then that's going to be reducing on September 22nd. But the point is, you're going to take this first section, and depending how you do in this section, it's going to be graded right then and right there. If you get them all right, you're obviously going this way. If you get them all wrong, unfortunately, you're going to go that way. Say you're right in the mid, you're going to go here. So the second set of questions that you're going to get, the second 20 questions, if you get them all right, they're going to be a group of harder questions. You want that because that means you're doing really well and your score is going to be higher. If you perform really poorly, you're going down to the easier content. And what happens here, you answer your next group of questions. If you still get all of them wrong, you're going right here. And that is a score of 130, which I don't think any of us want to get. So hopefully we manage to avoid that. If you get every single question in both sections right, you're going to get a 170. Most of us wind up somewhere in here. And obviously, the higher you get, the more content you're going to be with that score. So that's how it's done. You may feel it, you may not. The difficulty and challenging, how difficult the second section is. But don't waste your time trying to figure out, oh, is this harder or easier? Just do your best to answer every question that's in there. Now, I mentioned a few minutes ago the GMAT. I'm just going to draw a little graphic for you right here. Excuse my not so great artistic abilities with a mouse, but you get the idea here. So these represent questions, and this goes out. I think there's I don't know. I don't work for the GMAT. Something like 37 questions, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm just putting 4 here. So you get question number 1. If you get that right, excellent. You're going to the next one, and it's going to be a little bit harder. If you get that right, great. You're going here. So you can see this is how you're getting the top score there. Well, most people are going to do something like this and, whatever. And when they get to the end point, that's going to be what your score is. How that works differently is every single question, you have one chance to answer it once only. What I mean by that, when you take this, question 1 pops up, and this happened to me before, something very simple that my mind just wasn't working right. And the question involved the area of a triangle, which most of us studied at some point. But for whatever reason, I could not remember, how do I do the area of a triangle? High pressure situation, it just wasn't coming to me. But on the GMAT, you have to answer it right then, right there. If you don't remember, too bad, too sad. You got the question wrong, move on. In the GRE, however, you're on that question and you don't remember it. You can write on your scratch paper, whatever, hey, go back to question 1, whatever. And as in my case, the example I'm giving, 3 or 4 questions later was like, oh yeah, the area of a triangle is half that of using the same measurements for a square. That's horrible explanation, but that's how my mind was working, and I remembered how to do it. And on the GRE, you can jump back to question 1 and answer it. You can do them in any order. If you want to start with question 20 and work backwards, whatever, it is all up to you. On the GMAT, answer the question right now and move on. You don't get any opportunity to go back and check your work, or something occurs to you later on. To me, seems a little less stressful, but they both have their purpose in the testing world. I'm going to stop right here. Prepare. Do not, under any circumstance, go take the GRE without practicing first. I was an admissions director for over 10 years, and the worst thing, and I would hear it from 2 or 3 people every year, at least, and it was the worst thing that you could possibly say to me as an admissions person. I don't believe that my scores represent my ability because I didn't have the time to prepare. Don't tell that to the school that you're about to go to that's going to expect you to do all the homework and stay ahead and those sorts of things. You need to prepare. I've also heard, well, should I take the GMAT or GRE? Maybe you need to look into both of them and take a practice test of both and see what you like better. I don't know. But don't go into this without knowing what you're doing. I mentioned the questions that I find the hardest. Part of that is just understanding what the answers are. Yes, these are equal. I need this information. I don't have that information, etc. If you don't know what those are, the answers are always going to be the same on every type of question like that. If you waste valuable time on your test trying to figure out what the answers mean, that's certainly not helpful for you. I personally suggest taking a full test right at the beginning of your preparation. Give yourself a couple of months, a couple of weeks. It depends how much you put in and how good you are at taking these sorts of tests. Take one right at the beginning. Figure out what it is that you need to study. Study that. Don't waste your time studying stuff you already know or things that you can already do. Focus on that. Take another practice test if you feel that you're ready. Then it's time to go take this. Now, there are thousands of organizations out there that help with test preparation. We here at ETS don't suggest one over the other. They're going to be different city by city and country by country anyway. So I advise going out and looking at reviews of different organizations if that's the way you want to go. I'll tell you, back when I was preparing for my MBA and I was having to take my standardized test, I did it all myself. I went to the bookstore, got me a book. This was before things were as great on the internet as they are now. Um, and I told myself 3 to 4 days a week, I was going to do 3 to 4, not maybe 4, 2 to 3 hours worth of preparation. Just do some math problems, figure out what it was I didn't know, whatever, and learn it. Now, from ETS itself, the maker of the test, we have all of this sort of stuff. If you go on our website, again, here's the link, but you could just Google that. For preparation material, we have it both for the TOEFL and for the GRE, but everything that you may want to know is there. You do get a practice test when you sign up for the GRE. There's a number of different books out there that you can get directly from us. Those are all available on our website. But let me say, this to me is the one that I would choose. And the name of it is GRE Mentor. So you might want to write that down, put that in your notes, whatever. This is the one I highly suggest as a former teacher. This is a computer program which interacts with you. If you look here, this was just a screenshot I took several months back. This was a colleague of mine had started this, and you get to put in the date of your GRE. They were going to take it on 11/23/2022. And the day we took this screenshot was 51 days earlier than that. So it does that. And it calculates out for you, you need to go work on these sections. You need to work on these sections. And it breaks it down and kind of builds a curriculum for you, so you know what you need to be working on, know when you need to complete certain items, and that you don't put it off or get behind. So it's always going to keep you up to that. You can see here, study progress, 63%. You can see down here at the bottom talking about where are you rating on all of this? Are you beginner and basic? Or are you more advanced and expert? Let's aim for getting this expert level when you go sit and take the test. But it's got some games built in here. See right here, sudden death. You can gamify a little bit of this. But check it out. It is the most interactive. You don't have to go anywhere. You do this right on your computer, but it will structure all of that for you. Real quick, just to wrap up, you can pay in Indian rupees when you sign up for the GRE. There is a $30 discount running until the 30th of September. That you may want to know about, but you need to put in this code for that. So definitely right now, while I'm talking, I would write that down or take a screenshot of that so that you can get your discount on the exam. And then there's also a 25% off on the GRE Mentor, the review program that I was just showing you. So highly advise that you use that information there. We'll give you 2 more seconds. Write down the discount code there, because you are going to need that. And hopefully you've got it. This is my information. Email is right here. I can't answer every question for you, but I can certainly help guide you in the right direction for some of the stuff you may be looking at. You're welcome to email me. Certainly can't speak to you about ISB and their requirements, but there we go. Hopefully that gave you some insight where to start. I beg you, please don't just go take the GRE without having done some practice first. It will make a world of difference for you. So let's open it up to some questions.
All right, thank you so much, Ray, for this insightful presentation and talk about the new GRE. And a lot of questions are there that the deadline for ISB, it is round 1, it is September 10th, and then people who are planning to take the new GRE, what they should do. So in that case, you have to take the old format of GRE. Once you have those scores, you can apply. In case if you're planning to take only just the new one, the new format of GRE, then you can apply in round 2 or round 3. So yes, all right. I will start unmuting people one by one. You guys can raise your hand. I can see a lot of hands are there. Okay. Shirisha, please ask your question. Shirisha, you there? No worries. Sindhu, please ask your question.
I think you have to unmute yourself, Sindhu.
I have already unmuted. They have to unmute themselves. I have already done that. Sindhu, can you please unmute yourself and ask? Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Regarding the questions, analyze the argument and analyze the issue. So you mentioned that for the new format, it will be only the argument, is it?
There will be only one essay, and I believe it is analyze an argument. I might be wrong on that. I should probably go look that up. These were just announced in the past 2 weeks, and I've been traveling the past 2 weeks. So forgive me on that, but it is just going to be one essay. All of that's going to be on our website that you can get.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Sindhu. Amarnath, please ask a question. Unmute yourself. Yeah.
I have one question, Jay. The first question is like in the new format, 47 questions, something you gave, right? One section. So how it will be section adaptive this time?
I'm sorry.
So currently we have two sections each, verbal 2 sections and quantitative 2 sections. The second section will depend upon the performance of the first section. But in the new test format, there are only 47 questions. So will it be question adaptive or like GMAT or test adaptive? Or sorry, section adaptive?
Yeah, good question. It will still be section level adaptive. So you'll get, and I realize it's an odd number, so I'm not sure where that extra question is in section 1 or 2 at this point, but you'll still get half the questions in section 1, and then section 2 will give you the rest of the questions based on how you did in the first section.
But like in the photo, in the screen, like in the presentation you showed, it was like there will be one section, 47 questions for 27 questions for 41 minutes. So I thought there'd be only one section.
There are currently and will be 2 sections on verbal and quant. It will just be less questions in each. Now the GMAT, I can't answer a question for them, but it's all one section. And you have to go straight through all the questions in a row.
Yeah, and I have one more doubt. Like the new test takers, what they feel is the quant has become harder and harder over the years. Like for example, if a person wrote in 2019, he was able to score very good in quant, and over the recent times, the data interpretation has become really complicated. So it is kind of unbiased, right? At that time, people have taken it is easy, and now it has become harder. Like, is it true, or even I wrote? So what I feel is the data interpretation has become really tricky, actually.
It's not become harder from internally. There has been no discussion of making the test harder or easier. And a single individual may have gotten a question that they didn't like, and the other time they got questions they did like. I really don't know the situation there, but internally, no. They been doing this for well over 50 years, so they know what level every question is that comes out, and they have not gotten any harder.
Okay.
I will say the population of individuals that are taking the GRE changes a little bit every year. It is challenging to get in a certain percentile because the largest group of people taking the GRE are coming from mathematical backgrounds, STEM backgrounds. So if you compare that to, let's say, the GMAT, where the folks are not coming from engineering and math and things like that, it's a different scale. It's a different population taking the tests.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, Amarnath. Isha, please ask a question. Isha Saini, yeah.
Hi, can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. So Jay, I am not from a mathematical background. I'm from a management background. I just wanted to understand the level of difficulty for quant. So we've heard that level of difficulty in GMAT is higher than in GRE for quant. So what would be your take on that?
Well, it's not that one is, I don't know that I'd say one is harder than the other. They're different types of questions. So that's where I say, and I do really believe this, you should dig into each test and figure out which one is more, better for you. I wouldn't be here with ISB unless they liked both tests. So know that you want to take the test that suits you the best. As a former admissions director, I didn't care. Just know that. Like I said, I don't think one is harder than the other. The folks in admissions do know what other scores are coming in, and you're being compared against the other people who are applying. So keep that in mind.
All right, thank you.
Uh-huh.
All right. Navendu, please ask a question.
Yes, so I wanted to ask, like, how does the sending scores essentially work in a GRE? Does the GRE exam itself allow you to send scores to the college right at the time when you take it, or do you send it otherwise? Because there is some sort of like thing that happens in GMAT, right? That you can choose to send it to a particular school or not. How does that thing work?
Sure. There's a couple different options that you have. You get 4 free score reports for schools when you take it. Obviously, you want to put ISB right there first. That's why we're here. Now, there's a couple ways you can do this. You can determine that when you sit and take the test, maybe you're a little nervous about this, but it will delay everything. Just know that. And you can say, I'm not ready to send it to anybody. I want to get my score, get everything back before I do anything. It's one way to do it. And then later on, you could go and we have now. Nobody wants to take the GRE more than once. I get it, but a lot of people do. Just know a lot of people do take it more than once because you go in there like, if you can't tell, I'm a little under the weather today. If I took the GRE today, very likely I'd say, I bet I could do better if I weren't feeling under the weather. I will go take it again. Or maybe your mind just wasn't there. You're too stressed, whatever. But the point is you can then, let's say you took it 5 times. That does not sound fun to me, but you took it 5 times. You can wait and just send score number 4 because that was your best one and send that one to the school where you're applying. Or you could send, 3 and 4 and you don't want anyone to see 5 and 1 or whatever the case may be. So you can do that. For the most part, I'll leave it to the people from the school to answer this, but I'll tell you, when I was in admissions, if you took it 3 times and I saw all 3 scores, I'm going to assume your best score was you. That was the best that you could do. That was your best performance. I'm seeing a nodding from Amit there, so seems to be the way that they are going to approach it as well. We're going to look at the top score and say that's your full potential right there. Those other days must have just been off days. So that's why I say go ahead and send it. If you don't send it right when you take it, it's going to delay a bit getting on campus. And if you're pushing up against a deadline, you do not want that.
Got it. Makes sense. Thank you.
All right, Navendra, I guess that answers the question.
I just wanted to also understand that how does like the submission happen? Does it happen on the test day only, or does it kind of then happen post the exam that you have to send the scores? Like, do I have to like select the schools right at the time I'm taking the test, or can I do it later also since 5 schools are allowed, like you said, right?
If I understand your question correctly, yeah, you can send it right when you take the test, or wait and send it later. Either way.
Works. Thank you. That helps it.
Perfect. Bhave, please ask a question. Bhave Malhotra.
Hey, hi Kaushik. Hey, thanks Jay for the awesome presentation. I have 2 questions. The first one is addressed to Jay. So, Jay, for example, in the experiment section, let's say I scored a bit of less marks than in the non-experiment sections. So which
Mhm.
score would be considered of mine? Like the best of the three, or it is on a random basis?
If you're taken before September 22nd, because remember after that, this will no longer exist. If you're on the research section, which very frankly you're not going to know which section that is, we don't label it because we want you to actually try. Um, it's going to take whichever one is. It's not going to compare and say, oh, he did better on the research section. No, the research section is just that, a research section. But again, that's disappearing as of September 22nd. So if you want to wait, then you will know that every section, every question you have has the weight.
So it's not best of two, it's just on a random basis.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. And thanks, Jay. And my second question is addressed to the ISB, like on Kaushik or Amit. So, like, I got to know that the average, ballpark GRE score is something between 320 to 335, 330, 340. So, what is the quant score and the verbal score? Like, do we have any individual criteria that the verbal score should be above this and quant score should be above this? So, it's just the sum would do.
Amit, you'd like to
So
address?
it's just
Yeah.
a sum which we look at. So the average last year was around 329 or 330 for the GRE. The range was 319 to 338 last year. It's a sum, not the individual breakups.
So, okay, okay. So if we score a bit less on the verbal and do awesome on the quant,
Yeah,
it would call.
it will puff up your scores.
Perfect, perfect. Hey, thanks, Amit. Thanks, Kaushik. Thanks,
Alright.
Jay.
Smith T. Please unmute yourself and ask a question.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
So my question is to ISB. The range for GRE for class of, intake of 2023 starts from 319, whereas range of GMAT starts from 530 for the class of 2023. But the range for GRE for class of 2022 started from 305. So why such a high increase in the range, and why such a bias for GRE candidates?
Amit,
So it's not a bias. Yeah. So it's not a bias for GRE per se. It's about the diversity which we look at ISB, right? So it also tells you that the test scores are not the end and the be all for selections. So even if you get a high GMAT score, or even if you have a low GMAT score, you still have a chance of getting in if your profile is diverse. So somebody who had a very diverse profile this year choose to take GMAT and got 530 and got in, right? And similarly, somebody who chose to take GI last year had a very diverse profile. So it's all a matter of a profile, which we look at. So there's no bias on GRE or GMAT per se. So 305, also somebody was there last year.
yes.
This year it's 319 because the diverse candidates would have taken GMAT this year for whatever reasons they choose to, right? So it's not about a bias against the test.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. I just have a follow-up question for Jay. Since the number of questions have been lowered down, is the difficulty level going to be the same in the sectional questions, or is it going to be?
Yeah, good question. My understanding is yes. There's just less of them.
All right.
And remember that first group of questions will determine how hard the second questions are. So if you get them all right, you're going to get some pretty hard questions in the second section.
Okay. Thank you so much.
All right. Siddhant Nag, please ask a question.
Hello. Hi, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Hi, thanks so much for the presentation, Jay. Actually, just curious to know more about why, what was the rationale behind that?
Not audible clearly.
Am I audible now?
You're audible, but your voice is breaking in between.
Okay, I'll just try again. Otherwise, I'll type it in the
It's
chat
fine
box.
now. You can speak. Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to know the rationale between moving to a shorter, crisper test and what ETS had in mind with this shift, because we see that shift with GMAT as well.
Sure, absolutely. Happy to answer that. Over the years, especially during COVID, and especially here in the United States, more than some other places, Some schools were going test optional. Now, I believe it was Amit who just said a few minutes ago, they're looking at a lot more than a test score when you're applying. It's what we call holistic admissions, which means they're going to look at your work experience, your leadership abilities, all these other sorts of things that are all parts of your application materials. Over the years, it became that many schools felt and shared back with both the GMAT folks and with us at ETS, these tests are they're scaring people away. They're too long, they're too intimidating, they're whatever. And came to us and said, is there any way to make this a little more applicant friendly perhaps and still give us the same information? So behind the scenes, this is not what I do at ETS. I talk to you guys, but there are statisticians and test writers and all these great people back there that said, you know what, here's what we can do. Here's how we can shorten that down. And it's really a benefit for those of you who are taking the tests. I took the 4-hour test. Boy, I still 22 years later remember the day I took that test and how intimidating it was. We're hoping that this helps you still prove yourself, hey, I can do math, my vocabulary is good, I can write, all the things that we're testing on the test, but in a way that still statistically shows all of that, but isn't quite the oppressive hurdle that it was to apply before. The schools have been on board. We work with them. We don't make these sorts of decisions without talking to them first and say, hey, we have a GRE board that are all folks from universities. We have a business school advisory committee as well that we pass all this stuff through them and discussed it with them. And they are like, yeah, we would rather have a shorter test so that some folks would take it that would be scared away from the hurdles. And it's still a valid, great test. You're still going to have to work really hard. It's not any easier. It's just shorter. Now, I will also say less questions does mean that each question counts a little bit more. So you got to take each question a little more seriously at the same time.
Yeah,
I hope that helps you understand why we were doing that. The world evolves, things change, needs change. And we want you folks to come to business schools. We don't want to scare you away.
Right. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
All right. Before I unmute more people, there are a couple of common questions that what is the minimum GRE which is required to get into ISB. First of all, I've answered it to all of people, to a lot of them, that there is nothing called one right score which can guarantee admissions at ISB. It is a set of scores. Last year it was minimum somebody with as low as 305. This year it is 319, and the highest is 339, and average comes to 330. So scores are just one part of it, not the only criteria and parameter to get into ISB, which people don't understand. It is the holistic evaluation which is taken into consideration. Holistic evaluation means your work experience, your kind of graduation, your essays also. What are you writing an essay? People don't understand the importance of essays, your extracurriculars, your hobbies, everything else. Amit, you would like to add something?
I think you've covered it very well.
Yes.
Let's move on to the next question.
Yeah. So there's not one right score. Even if you score perfect 340, even that is not a guarantee of getting into ISB. Score, yeah, of course, target for 340, the perfect score, and get score as good as possible, but focus on other aspects of application. Do not assume that this nobody reads essay. Everything is read. So do not leave any aspect of application. You can connect me on LinkedIn also when it comes to application. Now I'll unmute the person. Okay, Shreya, please ask a question.
Yeah, hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Hi, good evening, team. So I just had a question for Jay. So the ETS mentor course, right? So will it have the full length practice test? Will it be as per the new changes, or will it continue to have the existing format questions?
Good question. I believe it comes with one full one full test. Let me put it this way: when you register for the GRE, you're getting a full practice test that way, either way. So you will have that. I can't. I should know that, and it's probably right there on the information on the website if it comes with the full test. I know it's got hundreds of questions in there, so it's a lot more than one test. Also, I would say that, and this is something that I'll point out is different from the changes in the GMAT, because I do follow that as well. They're changing a lot of their question types and things that are on there. So when you look at practice material over there, yeah, there's going to be some different stuff. We're literally giving the exact same type of questions, the same format, the same everything. It's just less of them.
Got
So on that GRE Mentor, it says, here's 100 questions to practice your quant. It doesn't matter if you've only got 40 or 27 on the GRE. You are practicing for exactly what's on there. We're not changing any format other than the number.
So I know as far as my information goes, I think there are 3 full-length practice tests, and so I'm just wondering if the duration for that would be close to 2 hours, or will it still be 4 hours?
Right now, it's still going to be the current test that's out there, so it's going to be the longer version. At some point I'm not exactly sure when, because I haven't heard exactly when either. It will probably be closer to September that we'll have a complete test that is shorter.
Got it.
So yeah, if you're taking a practice test now, be prepared. It's probably going to be a 4-hour one.
Got it. Cool. All right. Thanks a lot.
But hey, it's more practice for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
All right, Shreya, all the best. Anirudh, Kopuravuri.
Yeah. Hello.
Hi.
Good evening to all. Actually, I have questions for the ISB team and Jay as well. So I'll go with Jay for the first question. So Jay, as you have mentioned that from September 23, there is going to be a new format in the GRE. So will I be able to give the test from home, or else I'll have to go for a center to attempt the test?
The plan is to have the at-home version of the GRE forever. It worked really well for us. It'll just be given the shorter test at home, but yes, it will be there.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. And this question is for the ISB team. So I just want to know, is there any weightage for the analytical writing score in the application process? So earlier, the team has mentioned about the verbal and the quant sessions. So there is no mention about the AVA analytical writing session. So I just want to have the information about that.
We take into account AWS scores also in a particular way. So they may not have a weightage like the overall score, but we take into account that particular score as well. So I'll suggest don't skip that score or that section. Do get the best score possible in that section is what my suggestion will be. So we take that into account as well. Yes.
Okay, sir, sure. And the second question is, as the format of the GRE is changing, so will I be able to apply with my old score in round 2 and round 3?
Yes, you can.
And if I get rejected in the round 2 and round 3, will I be able to apply with the last year score in the next year intake?
Yes, the scores are valid for 5 years. So we'll accept the scores as long as they're valid.
Okay, sure. And Kaushik sir, he has mentioned about the other aspects of the application. I just want to know what those actually are. What are the other aspects of the application?
So your work ex, your academics, your essays, your letter of recommendation, your test scores, of course, your interviews and your extracurriculars and the diversity quotient. All those is what we look at.
Sure. Thank you so much.
All right, all the best. Rishabh, please ask a question. Rishabh Gupta.
Hey everyone. Am I audible now?
Yes, loud and clear.
Oh, great. Actually, I just want to know, I mean, is there any provision for fees reduction or waiver for GRE examination?
Jay, this is for you.
Well, there's the fee reduction that we've got, but it sounded like you're asking about waiver, which is certainly not me. So I'm going to throw that back to the admissions folks here if you offer waivers for admissions tests.
So the test scores are important components of a evaluation process. So you have to write at least one of the tests, 2 tests which you mentioned. So there are no waivers for test scores at in the selection process.
No, this is not about the score part. This is about the fees part, fees reductions.
Yeah, so that is something with Tanya and Jay can answer.
Yeah, that's the code that we put up a little bit ago. If you need it again, then we can certainly give you that again, but that's a $30 fee reduction on the GRE.
Nothing apart from the discount vouchers.
I'm sorry, it was a bit fuzzy. I didn't understand you.
Nothing apart from the discount vouchers, discount codes.
Rishabh, if you can just, take the mic a little bit away from your mouth and then can speak.
I think he's asking for discount vouchers.
Is it clear now?
Yeah.
It is better, yeah.
Okay. I'm asking about the reduction amount. Is it apart from the discount code?
Let me take this one. There are no fee reductions programmed in India, Rishabh. It's only applicable for the US. But if you're flying within Indian institutions, we don't have that option here.
Okay, all right, perfect. Thank you.
All right. Divya, please ask a question. Divya Agarwal.
Hi, this question is for Jay. So I wanted to know how close or how accurate are the mock tests which are provided by the ETS compared to the actual GRE which is given?
Sure. They're going to be pretty much the exact same thing. It's the people who do those practice tests are the same people who write the tests.
Okay.
So,
and I've got another question. This might be a slightly sillier one. So I was actually told that using the calculator on the test can be a little, can actually like affect your score in a negative way, or you might get questions which are slightly difficult if you have been using calculator for pretty much all the questions on the test, which shouldn't be the case, but I just wanted to clarify.
yeah, there is no attachment of the calculator to your score for sure. It is merely a tool. You may hear that because someone thought, oh, it slowed me down or I relied too much on it. Really, we're not testing if you can use a calculator. We're testing, can you figure out what to do with the calculator? How do you solve the problem? It's much more of a logical thing. And do you know the formulas and the thoughts? And can you take this information and put it numerically? Well, basically the calculator is there so you don't have to figure out in the middle of the test what is 247 times 1911, which on the GMAT, if you get to that point, you have to do that by hand. Here we say just go use the calculator. You don't need that. But the calculator is not going to be all you need to solve the problems. I guarantee. If you're not writing down some formulas and making sure that the math is making logical sense, then if you're just using the calculator, you did something wrong probably.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Perfect.
Shreya Nagda.
Yeah. Hi, am I audible?
Absolutely.
Pardon the background noise. Thanks for this this call, ISB and ETS. My first question is on the AWA section. So I have already given GRE twice last year, and I plan to give it again this year. On the AWA, is there kind of a word limit which can, is it a preferred word limit? That's it.
I've never heard of a word limit.
I know that
the only thing
technically it's not there, but for a higher score.
My response is there is not a built-in word limit. However, my response to that as a former teacher who was teaching writing, you may want to make sure that you're not just writing too much. I mean, that you're answering the question fully, and it's organized, and then stop. If you just keep, I found my students would write, and it gave more opportunity for them to go off of the path that they were trying to create, or allow them to make more mistakes. So yeah, that's why I say before you start writing, take 2 minutes to make an outline, and when you get to the end of the outline, you're done. when you're
Okay.
writing. So you don't. And
So
here I go. This is the way I'm talking right now, probably giving too much information. You should probably cut me off, 10 seconds ago. That's what I would say with the writing.
All right. So there's no like the myth was that you should reach at least a 500 word limit. That's not true, right?
I've never heard of a word limit.
All right.
A solid answer the question completely and stop.
All right, got it. I just have another question, a difficult one at that. I might forewarn you. So the thing is that last year when I was giving and I registered for GRE, the fees was a little different. But this year when I'm doing it, the anomaly for me is that it's different for Indians and for other countries, with almost a 24% increase for Indians. And I was actually a little shocked, to be frank. Any rationale for this? Yeah, thanks.
Let me take that one. Actually, Shreya, the thing is, we had moved our payments to INR. Earlier, you were paying in USD, so the exchange rate would apply of that day. But because we moved it to INR, basically to ease out payment options and things, there was a GST component that got added automatically. Because of which now the cost has gone up to 22,550. But for you to soften that a little bit, we've put out a promo code that Jay had just mentioned, which offers you a 30% discount. So then their pricing comes back down to 19,000 something at this time. So that's what we've done. Hope that helps.
Thanks, Anya.
All right. Amit Pant.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so I have some short questions like, is there a change in the difficulty in the new test format?
There we go. No, there's no change in difficulty in questions whatsoever, but do note there are less questions. And as you know, since you're probably going for this quantitative part, that does mean that each question has a bit more weight, but they are not any more challenging or less challenging in any way.
Okay. Just like one more thing, like the promo code you have mentioned, if this is valid for if we book the test for before 30th of September, or is it also for if we book if we register for the exam and we book the date like 2 months in advance, but we do it before 30th of September?
You could. Oh, you want to take that, Tanya? Go for it.
Yeah, sure. If you can go ahead, please. It's very simple.
You can go right now and register for the GRE. And if you register on September 21st, your test is going to be 4 hours long. If you register for September 22nd, your test is going to be 2 hours long. That is simply the date that you choose at this point. I will say on the other side, if you're looking at GMAT, they don't have the registration up for their test. I don't think they have a date yet for when their new test is coming out. So if you know right now, hey, I'm going to go take this shorter test, go sign up right after we're done here. Sign up on September 22nd, and you will be the first day with the short test.
Yes, sorry, there has been a little misunderstanding. I said that this promo code, is it valid if we book it if we book the exam 30th before the 30th of September, but the exam date is on, let's say, in November, December, is it still valid, or we have to book the exam right before 30th of September?
The promo code stays valid till the 30th. You can book a test even in December, because I think on the e-reg, on the platform, the visibility of dates goes up to 3 months ahead. So okay. if you book even on 30th or even on 29th of September, that's the thing, you book your test for a later date, the discount code still applies.
Okay. Well, thank you.
All right. Just a minute. There's some technical issue. I'm not able to unmute. Amit, can you check from your end because I'm not able to unmute? It's fine. Ayush, can you please ask a question? Yeah.
Yeah, hi. Am I audible? Can you?
Yes.
Yeah, I just had a question to the admissions team actually. So I have given GRE, but I've written my GRE back in 2021 actually. So I just wanted to understand if the gap is a criteria that will affect my application currently. Do I need to retake it, or I mean, how's the process? Yeah.
So, Ayush, if I'm understanding it right, you wrote your test in 2021, right?
Yeah. So like if I plan to apply this year, then there's a 2-year gap, right? But my score is still valid.
Your
But
scores
yeah.
are valid for 5 years. So as long as your scores are valid, you can apply with the same scores. If you feel that those scores are competitive enough, you can go ahead and apply with the same score. No worries.
All right. And so, I mean, this is more a question to Jay, I guess, because there's a change in the format, and obviously, I feel that the score that is 2 years old. I mean, in terms of percentile, there will be a difference between, the students that will write the exam this year. So,
Sure.
would that be something that I need to be worried about, or I mean, just to be sure, do I retake it, or yeah? I
Ayush,
mean,
do you
So yeah,
mind coming out to sorry, Jay, to cut in, there's a background noise, Ayush. If you can just shift yourself
I'm
to
really
a
sorry.
comment, please.
Is it bit better now?
It's better, yes. Yeah. Jay, please.
So as far as percentile scores go, every admissions office uses them differently. So I'm not going to speak for ISB right here, but I will tell you on our end, those percentiles come from a 3-year test period. So you're actually still in that percentile building. Why do we do that? Because the population of test takers does change a little bit every year. So we kind of average that out over several years. To be very frank, speaking as someone who was doing admissions before, I know what the percentile scores are up here, but that's not really played in that much, as in you've proven that you can do the level of work that's necessary for the program, got good scores. If they were good scores 2 years ago, they're going to be good scores at 4 years and 11 months after you took it. But if you wait till 5 years and 1 day, they're not, your scores are gone. They're unavailable at that point. But yeah, your score is your score, and if it's good, it's good.
All right. Yeah, I think that's all. Yeah, thanks a lot. Thank you.
All right. Sunanda, please ask a question.
Hi, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, so this question is to Jay, actually. Previously, you mentioned that there are comparatively a lot of students from the STEM cell background applying for GRE. Although, of course, I understand that there are overall a lot of different diverse background students. But then, do you think, like, considering right now after September 22nd, the pattern will be changed, and although of course the difficulty level, everything will be depending upon how you will be answering the questions, but then like one particular question will have a compiled level of the weightage for one question will be more, because considering it has reduced down to 2 hours. And also on top of that, adding that I am from a non-management background. So do you think like the students applying after September 22nd, will they be at a disadvantage on the level of disadvantage? Personally, like what would you think?
I excuse me. I don't think that you'd be at a disadvantage necessarily. If you know your material, you know your material. Like you said, you are not from a STEM background. My undergraduate degree was in Spanish literature, and I did really well on my standardized test because I prepared. You're not going to be at a specific disadvantage. I mean, you're getting a random group of questions. Hopefully, they are questions that you prepared for. And that's again why I throw out there, take the time to prepare. Not just take a practice test, but figure out what you didn't know and go learn it. So that way, when you get there, but I do point out there are less questions only because you got to make sure that you're taking each of them seriously. That's why I point that out, because if you're just kind of going through and pushing it off, and again, I throw out there on the GRE, you can bounce around from question to question. If you get to question 3 and you're like, oh, this one's really tough, don't waste all of your time stressing out about question 3. Move on to 4, 5, 6, and watch your time so that you can come back to question 3 if that's necessary.
Right. So actually, that's a very good feature that has been added on. And apart from that, just a quick follow-up question. So for the new, since you have been stressing on the preparation part, which is completely agreeable. So what do you think, how much would be the overall practice time or preparation time would be required for the new format that is being implemented from September 22nd? Like an overall practice time, how many months would or how many weeks would be sufficient?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the whole question too well. My speakers aren't working too great. A little fuzzy. Sorry about that.
Yes. So can you hear me now? Am I audible enough?
Yeah, and I hear you. It's just my speakers are not as loud as I would like them to be.
Okay, that's not a problem. All right, I just repeat the question. I was asking that considering the new format that would be implemented from September 22nd, since you have been stressing on the preparation part, how much according to you would be required the preparation time for um, uh, the new change or the new format from September 22nd that's going to be implemented?
Preparation time differs for every person. There's some folks that could probably spend 2 hours just getting to know what's on the test and ready to go take it and be done. That was not me. I don't necessarily think it's going to be less preparation. If you don't know something, you don't know something. If you do know it, you do know it. Every individual is different. I would never recommend anyone take, if you're signing up for the test and you haven't started preparing, do it at least 6 weeks out. Those who push it less than that, and I don't see that the format of the test is going to change that, because if you don't know how to do certain math functions, it doesn't matter if the test is shorter or longer. You still need to figure out how to do those functions.
Yes, that makes sense. Okay, thank you.
All right, I hope that answers your question. Yogita, please ask your question.
Hi, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, so my question is again for Jay. So, for example, right now, I'm planning to take the GRE test 2 months from now, right? But let's say I'm not sure at which date, because if I register now, I'll have to give the date, right? This is the prescribed date that I want to give the test. So, would you recommend registering now, or nearer, after I prepare for 2 months, so that I have a better idea? Okay, this is the date that I want to go for.
Sure. This is more a psychological thing than anything. If you register for it, you have a goal. And you're going to talk about goals a lot when you're in business school, and how to aim for them and prepare for them and get to them. Same thing here. My belief is that test date. There are folks out there that for sure that will be like, oh, I'm going to take it sometime in July. First of all, you may get to July and the day that you're available, there's no test available. Especially testing centers, India, lots of test takers out there. So keep in mind, you might lose that seat. If you're doing it at home, that's a whole different thing, but there are still limitations to how many we can enroll in a day. Me personally, I say if you can get an idea, put it on the date, register. You can always change it if you need to. But get it on your calendar. Make sure your friends and family know to support you, because you're going to be studying and prepping and whatever you need to do. But it gives you a goal. And if depending when you're submitting your application, if you want to wait till September 22nd to take it, then that's up to you.
I have another question actually. So I think it might be a dumb question, but let's say you were talking about like I can retake the GRE test. For retaking the test, I'll be repaying the fees again, right? It will not be okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is
Thank
another
you.
reason that you don't want to take it 5 times. Prepare the first time and hopefully do the best that you can on your first shot.
All right. With this, Vaishak Nair, please ask your question.
Hi. So one of the my question is kind of asked earlier as well, but I'll still ask. So I gave my GRE in around September 2018. Okay. So probably towards the application date of the round 1, I might expire my results. So should I like, is it okay if I just submit this score, or I need to have a score which is maybe valid later on as well?
So if your score is valid till 10th of September, if we find to
Mhm.
apply for round 1, 10th of September, your score should be valid. If it's not
I
valid on
see.
10th, you cannot apply with the score.
I see.
Yeah, but
And the validity is counted from the date of exam or when we get the official results?
well, what I'll throw out there is, and this is a great question because I saw this a lot when I was in admissions. You need to get your official score to the admissions office before the 5-year mark, because if you maybe send a copy, some schools will accept a copy of your score, not the official one, to make an admissions decision. I don't want to speak for ISB. You do what you do, but you want to have the school have those scores in their hand at that 5-year mark, because 5 years and 1 day, we at ETS will no longer send your score to anybody, and they will not have an official score. So if you're going for round 1, if you haven't already sent it, go ahead and send it today. Get it done.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Shravya Kodupudi.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi, am I audible?
Yes, please.
Yeah, my question is for ISB team. I have heard that placements are there for only for the people who have 2 to 5 years of experience, and the people with more experience would get placed at a later point of time during their PGP. How far that is true?
And who told you this, Shravya, if I may ask?
Like I heard it from my father. Like he got to know from one of his friends. Like one of them has done their PGP, and that person's experience was more than 10 years. So from that person, he got to hear this. So he was like, you have to attempt it this year itself, like that. He was saying something. So I don't know like how far that is true. So I
See,
wanted to.
regarding attempt, it's fine when you attempt, but in terms of placement, everybody gets placed at ISB. There are people, including people with higher years of work experience in the placement week. There are a couple of people who might want niche placements. They do wait for some companies to come in, but otherwise everybody gets placed in the placement week, which we have in November. So that's how it works. So there will be a couple of people who are waiting for some niche roles. So that person might be in that category, but otherwise at ISB placements are for everyone, the whole batch in the placement week, not just for people with 2 to 5 years.
Okay.
Also, Shravya, I would like to add something here, that not every role is for everyone, right?
Yeah.
If there are some entry-level roles, you cannot expect a person with 8 or 10 years or 12 years of experience to sit for those positions. If the person is ready to take that, thing, okay, fine, no worries. Otherwise, people don't do that generally, right? So that is
I agree on that.
Also, there are a lot of rumors here and there. So do not believe on rumors. Rumors are just to be, okay, fine. You just hear it and just forget it. There are rumors like all GRE people, they get admitted in Mohali campus, which is not the truth. Or both the
Yeah,
things we
I
have.
agree on that.
Right. So that's again a rumor, right? That all high scores, people say that all high scorers are in Hyderabad campus, all low scorers are in Mohali campus, and all GMAT in Hyderabad, all GR in Mohali, which is not the truth. You can
Yeah,
you can
it
check
is
for
2
yourself.
campuses in one school. Yeah, I heard it.
Thank you so much for that word. Yes, it is one school which has got 2 campus. So rumors are rumors. Just take it with a pinch of salt. That's it.
Okay, thanks, Kaushik. Thanks, Amit.
All right. Gaurav, please ask your question.
Good evening, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes.
So I had a question for ISB team. I'm in my pre-final year of college. So basically that I have 3 ways to get into ISB, the YLP, the EEU and the direct admissions. All 3 needs the GMAT GRE, and since ISB is one of the top B schools, which gives prioritize to all the aspects of your application, the essay, the interview, academics, everything. Just wanted to know that is there any particular GRE range after which if you don't get an admission into ISB, it's not because of your score and because of the other thing, so that once we get a score, that particular score, so we can be relaxed of that and we can prepare for other aspects of the program.
Amit, you'd like to take this question?
So,
Shall I? Okay.
see, as I mentioned earlier, GRE or GMAT scores are not the end all or be all of for admissions. So there is no particular score which is safe, right? So you cannot say 338 is safe or 335 is safe. At ISB, we have had people who have had 335 and not made it to the program because they maybe did not take care of the essays or the interview aspects. So first aspect is to get a decent score, which you think balances your profile. It's about balancing your profile and then preparing for the application as well. So look at all the aspects. It's a holistic profile-based evaluation. So cover all the areas and not just focus on just one area and be okay with that. And I've got a 335 or I've got a 760. No, it's not like that. So cover all your aspects, especially essays and interviews are something we should prepare for. I hope that answers the question, Gaurav.
But I wanted to know that after which score that we can be happy with it and not look at that GRE anymore and then look for other aspects.
I would say there's no such score for any person. It's individual to it's different for different individuals. So it's all about balancing your profile, right? And some people will get in even at 630 or at 319 people have gotten, and some people at 335 also not gotten. So it's all about the overall holistic profile which you need to look at. So there's no one particular score which you can say is safe or which you can say that at least this much I need to get. You can get a lower score but still make it.
All right, understood.
All right. So with this, one last question, and that is Rashmi. Rashmi, please ask a question. And all of those who have raised their hand, we couldn't answer your question. You can connect to us on LinkedIn. I am sharing links again to of mine, Jay, Amit's, and Tanya's LinkedIn. Please connect with us there. Ask any question, whatever you may have regarding GRE, regarding ISP. Yeah. Rashmi, please ask a question.
Hi, good evening, everyone. First of all, again, the general question, am I audible and is there the background clear?
It is, yeah, please.
Yeah. So I have a few small questions here and there. First one is addressed to Jay. Jay, the first question is, I think it was Vaishnav or someone who mentioned that he had taken a test way back in September 2018, and I was surprised that it was around the same time that I did appear for GRE for the first and the last time, like till now. So I was a simple question that I have right now is over this half decade or so, or maybe like 6 or 7 years or so, do you witness any changes in any aspect of GRE, maybe questions, maybe difficulty, anything that you can shoot to us?
Sure. Excuse me. On the GRE, no. In your ability to take the GRE, yes. What do I mean by that? If you're not using the tools, the math on a regular basis, if you're not evaluating the passages like you do in English, your skills get old and rusty. The GRE's been around for decades and decades before any of us on this call were alive. Let me put it that way. And the questions, the challenges of the questions do not change. It's very scientific behind the scenes, how the questions are written, rated, which ones are hard, which are easy, what level to put them, and I'm not even privy to exactly the statistics they're using behind it. But no, the test is going to be the same 20 years ago and 20 years in the future, the same sort of challenge. It is the further that you are away from using those skills, the rustier they get. So that's why we encourage, and good for you for taking it 5 years ago, because you might have gotten a better score 5 years ago than you would today, unless you've been polishing up those skills.
Point well taken, totally understandable. It's about our abilities as well. So I understand that there hasn't been any significant change in the pattern as well. Not the difficulty of the question, I'm talking about the pattern or the type of questions, or that's what, right?
Yeah, the biggest change to the GRE came in 2013. There was a massive overhaul in type of questions and somewhat of the format of the test, and the scoring changed also. So yeah, the only big changes like that were 2013. We're not having that sort of change this time.
Okay, thank you very much. The next question would be regarding the analytical writing section. As you mentioned, amongst other things, vocabulary. So when I was preparing for the last time, like I almost prepared entirely for vocabulary, and interestingly, I scored better in quant somehow. The typical stereotype of Indians being better in maths or something. So my question is, does better vocabulary is better vocabulary more rewarding than writing simple good English, right? Like as we were encouraged in school, write smaller sentences, use simpler, smaller words, it's okay. So is an elite or better vocabulary rewarded more than simple good enough English?
I'm going to say no. Now, if you've got a great word that fits and it's going, then great. You by all means use it. Just hearing you now, your English is great, and if you write well organized, then you're going to be fine. Just forcing in a big word because, hey, look, I know a big word. No, you're probably going to lose some of the structure or the meaning, or you might misuse it. So make it more natural. Again, number one piece of advice: make a short little outline, stick to it.
Yes.
The words will come. Don't force them.
Yeah. Point well taken. Something that we were taught through school as well. Thank you so much, Jay. And yeah, thank you. The last question would be to the admissions team. So I take it, I in fact read through the answers in the Q&A section as well. So repetitive, like asking about the cutoff or the range of GRE scores, which is also available in your brochure and placement records, I think, as far as I remember. So when my question is, as you look at the holistic profile of a candidate for deciding whether they are to get an admission into ISB, GRE is but a component of it. However, GRE, in fact, amongst other scores, is considered for scholarships and waivers as well, right?
Absolutely.
And if I remember correctly from the last session, the number of people getting scholarships is more from round one, if I remember correctly. Yeah. So my question is, even if I clear or I have a good enough holistic profile, if my GRE score is not as good enough, or it's not an outstanding score, however, I have a lot of experience and I somehow managed to nail the interview and everything, but my GRE score is not as great. Does that affect my chances of getting a scholarship or a better scholarship, like, or a better waiver for that matter?
Yes, it does, because GRE is a part of the component of the overall score. So if one component is on the lower side, definitely it will pull your overall score slightly lower. Now it depends on how much weightage does the GRE have in the overall process, but it is just one of the components. So if you have stellar other things but lesser GRE compared to a person who has stellar other things plus a good GRE, the second person would have a better chance of a higher scholarship. So definitely it does.
Okay. Point well taken. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And Rashmi, scholarships are there in all the rounds. I saw a few questions in the chat also. Round 1, round 3, round 1, round 2, round 3. The only difference is in round 1, it's up to 100%.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
In round 2, up to 75%.
75%, and then it's 50%, if I remember.
Up to 50% in round 3.
Yes.
So that is what it is. Otherwise, scholarships are there, and there is no difference that you take this test, then you will get it. You take that test. Yeah. So there is no. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear that you need to keep harping on that a number of times, whether GMAT is preferred over GRE or not. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Amit and Kaushik.
All right.
Thank you, Tanya.
All right. With this, we have reached to the end of the session. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining the session. I hope it was informative enough. And Jay, thank you so much for taking your time. Tanya, thank you for your time. Thank you for that informative presentation about the GRE, the new GRE. Thank you, Amit. Thank you so much for taking out your time and answering all the questions. And with this, thank you so much, everyone. Good night. Wish you all the best. I have mentioned my LinkedIn. I've mentioned all 4 LinkedIn profiles as well as the email IDs. Please connect to us for anything and everything. All right. Okay. Bye-bye. Good night.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Good night, everyone.